Is everybody here? Raise your hand if you're not here. That many? Yeah, we're going to do a little reading today. A little math heavy today, though. Wow. Are we doing the what? I don't know. I bet you're just burning up inside to throw some dodgeballs, right? Get hit in the head. It's wonderful. All right. Everybody's over there. Everybody's over there. Not everybody's over there. And yeah. So we're just missing the one? That's not bad. All right, notebooks. Notebooks, pencils or pens with a notebook. If you're wanting to do this in a computer, we're doing math. Okay? We're doing math. We'll get back to the book, don't worry. But we are doing math. If you don't have a standalone handheld calculator, go get one right now. Guys, there's 10 handheld calculators. If you don't have one, grab one of mine. Make sure it gets back there when you're done. It's okay. Probably had a doctor's appointment or something. All right, y'all. Everybody got a piece of paper, something to write with, calculator, and your mouth switched off unless you have questions. Please. Please. All right. We're going with purple today, as you can see. In the story, the last thing that happened, like big picture, was the pilot, Captain Deladrier, right? She pulled off some kind of pretty impressive maneuver, yes? You guys remember? Unfortunately, Flores didn't make it on the way up. He passed. But Captain Deladrier saved the rest of them by kind of slamming on the brakes, right? They're cruising along at whatever speed. She decelerates, slows down, drops down to pick them up, and then like matches their speed to pull back out. We made up some numbers. Let me run through the numbers we made up, and then we're going to plug stuff into a formula, okay? Fair? So here's what we made up. 8 G's is what we made up as, like, that's about as max as Captain Deladrier maybe would be allowed to exert onto that starship. I don't know. We're just making the number up, okay? I want you to think for a second, if 1 G is the gravity on Earth, and this planet Proxima in the story is 0.87 G, 13% less, you would weigh less there, right? But I want you to think, if you were pulling 8 G's, 8 times 1, because a G is reference to Earth's gravity, if I weigh 200 pounds, which I don't, I weigh more than that. If I weigh 200 pounds, yeah, I literally just was on a scale. It's not pretty. What's 200 times 8? 1,600. Shh, guys, if I was having 8 G's of force exerted onto me, it would feel as though my body weighed 1,600 pounds. 1,600 pounds. We're getting up on a ton, right? You could almost literally say, I felt like I weighed a ton. Yeah. So, with that in mind, we are not going to assume that our spaceship, that our brilliant Captain Deladrier is going to exceed that by much, okay? Is that fair? So we're going to say that we're going to accelerate at 8 G's max for this maneuver she does, okay? So what is 8 times acceleration due to gravity on Earth? Because we're referencing Earth when we're talking about G's. What's in your calculator right now? Type it in. I'm going to tell you what to type in. We're going to take acceleration due to gravity on Earth. 1 G is 9.8 meters per second squared. That's acceleration due to Earth's gravity. Not, you put in 9.8. There's something that looks like a period on there. That's the point. 9.8. And then you're going to times that, multiply by 8. Everybody do it. 78.4. 78.4 what? Meters per second squared. This is an acceleration, right? So we're saying that she's not gonna want to exceed that for the period of time it takes her to slow the ship down. All right? But if we're slowing the ship down, what am I missing on our acceleration? The ship is slowing. It is decelerating at this rate, 78.4 meters per second squared. For every second, it's slowing down, 78.4 meters per second. So what is this missing if it's slowing down? This is deceleration, the negative sign. If it was left like this, it would be accelerating positive, so it would be speeding up. But we are not. She is slowing down that ship. All right, now I want you to look over here. Okay? And if this isn't already in your notebook, I think we did one. But if not, make sure you put this in your notebook. A is acceleration. With the line over it, we say that's average acceleration. That's what we're doing right now. Average acceleration is equal to change in velocity divided by change in time. Do you guys see that triangle in front of the V and in front of the T? See the triangle? That's called a delta. It means change. Everybody got it? If you need to put it in your notes, put it in your notes. You're not putting anything in your notes. I guess you're just sucking it all in. Got it. Everybody follow so far? So we're going to use that formula, and we're going to have some other stuff that we invented, okay? So we have the average acceleration. It's given to us because we said we can't go more than 8 Gs. So we're going to use 8 Gs. Average acceleration is negative 78.4 meters per second squared. Now, what else do we know? Up here, we're going to say, hey, the ship was orbiting at 17,000 miles per hour. 17,000 miles an hour and change on Earth is escape velocity. So we're basically saying they're up a little bit further than just low level, just a little bit. They're in orbit. And she brakes to 15,000 miles per hour. And then what we did is we just asked the Google machine. We could certainly find the conversion factor and do it ourselves, but for expediency's sake, and since we're still going to be doing plenty of math, 70,000 miles an hour is equal to 7,599.68. We probably round that to 7,600, couldn't we, if we wanted to? Meters per second. So again, this is given to you. We would say this is the initial velocity. That's the velocity at which they were orbiting at the beginning of this maneuver she does. And then she decelerates at that rate, and this is her final velocity, 6,705.6 meters per second. Everybody tracking so far? We're orbiting, we're going this speed. She decelerates to this speed at this rate of acceleration. Okay. So in other words, for every second she's decelerating the ship. She's slowing the ship down. It's slowing down. Every second it's slowing down 78.4 meters per second. Does that make sense? Every second she keeps decelerating, they lose another 78.4 meters per second of speed. Formula says change of velocity divided by change of time. Do we know how much time it took? Does it say anywhere up here it took 20 seconds to slow down? No. So is that our missing variable? You guys are using an equation here. You don't use the equation if you have all of the variables. You wouldn't need to, right? You just know everything. So the thing we're missing is the time that it took to slow down from this speed to this speed, or velocity. We can use speed and velocity interchangeable with this example because we're not saying anything about the direction they're traveling. Okay. So what do I put in the numerator there? Look at the formula. Change in velocity is final velocity minus initial velocity. So what do I put in? I will wait. I'm not going to give it to you. Do you guys see it? Delta V, change in velocity, is velocity final minus velocity initial. Put it in there. Davis, can you tell me what I should be writing? What number am I putting first? That one or that one? Yes. 6,705.6 meters per second minus what, Paul? Minus what? Yes, you are Paul. We're given information, we just plug it in the formula. This formula is designed, like many others that we're going to use. If you have 2 out of the 3 variables in the equation, you can find the one that's missing, right? You guys this year are learning, or last year, some of you, algebra. Algebra 1. So what's the next step? I've got it on here. This is the equation. What do I do next? What's the first thing I need to do? Now that it's in the formula. No. I'm going to subtract first, right? So go ahead and subtract first. Go ahead and do it. You got a calculator. Everybody do it. What is it? Negative 808. And that makes sense because we are slowing down. So the change is a negative speed change or negative velocity change. Okay. That's still in meters per second. A reduction in that many meters per second of speed. Everybody good? Trying to go slow. Slow me down more if I need to, or if you need me to. And then what happens to the t? It just stays there. Now, actually, you would have like an actual time, guys. We don't know what, if I provided that to you, we could put that in. What time was it when they were going this speed? What time was it when once they got down, or When they were at, so they started at this speed, got to this speed. So what were the times at the beginning? We don't know, but we could put them there if we did, right? We're going to find out how much total time it took. Yes. Thanks. Okay. So here we go. How do I do this? Don't we need to like isolate the variable or something? We've got 2 out of that one and that one out of the 3. What math do I need to do to find t? It's just 1 or 2 things, right? Can I multiply? Could I divide? What do I multiply or divide by? Do I have to be certain? Do I have to know for sure that I'm doing the right thing? No. Because if you get it wrong, you can prove it wrong or prove it right, can't you? By checking your math. Guys, whether we try to divide that by that or multiply those 2 together, whatever we get for here, all we have to do after we get what we think might be the number is divide this by that and make sure we get that. Does that make sense? I know I'm saying a lot of words that don't mean anything. Whatever we get here on our first try, if we're not sure what to do, divide, multiply, whatever we get here, I can check my answer, can't I? By just dividing down and make sure I still get that answer. So what does somebody want to try? Go ahead.
Divide the number over time by -78.
All right, so you're saying plug that in here?
Yeah.
Okay. So negative, we're going to say time is equal to negative 78.4 meters per second squared. So what do you get? Somebody plug it in the calculator. Negative 894.08 divided by negative 78.4. What do you get? 11.404. Is that it? Okay. So if we do that, and then we like go back around, so you took this divided by that to get this. Then you could take that divided by this to get that. Is negative 894.08 divided by 11.404 get you back to negative 78.4? Does it? How many people tried it? Does it? A few of you tried it, good. Don't take somebody else's word for it. Pop it in the calculator. You're perfect. That's good, right? Good. Now, let's think about this for a second. If we put that number in here, when we divide down, watch this. When we divide down, the meters cancel out, don't they? 1 of the seconds cancel out, don't they? What's left? Just 1 of the S's. Aren't we looking for time? Does our answer make sense that we would end up with 11.4 seconds? So the math works and it makes sense. We have the right unit. Okay, what does this mean? Like, break it down Barney style, right? Wait, do you guys know Barney? Okay, of course. Somebody said, of course we know Barney. Guys, what it means is Captain Deladrier is slowing the ship down. And notice you have negative, so it cancels, so you get a positive, right? She's slowing the ship down by 78.4 meters per second every second for almost 11.5 seconds. Make sense? To get us down to this speed here, to our final velocity. Did that hurt your brain? You didn't even do it. You were watching your neighbor do it. Do we need to do another one? Yes.
I hate to be that guy.
Please be that guy.
I understand like the math, but why? Like,
what do you mean, but why?
why are we doing it?
Why are we doing it? Well, so you want me to give you the facetious answer? The facetious answer is because the state of Kentucky says that you should be able to calculate acceleration. So do you want the like, but why should they know that?
No, not really.
You asked.
Yeah, but
So I will tell you why I think you should be able to do this. Probably. This is a problem that you need to pull data from somewhere and put it in a formula and figure it out. Do you think there will ever, even if it's not math, some of you will need some math. Some of you will need some math, but you'll do it with a program on the computer. But do you think you'll ever solve a problem? No? Oh man, I hope you're wrong. I hope you guys solve some problems in life. I hope you solve some problems.
like this, I feel like I understand it like when you're doing it like this, but if I was doing something for science and this, I needed to do this for something.
So, okay, how about this? If an engineer knows that a pilot in a spacecraft or a driver in a car is going to have to slow down from one speed or velocity to another, or speed up, do you think they might need to calculate, for example, if they're designing an airbag, how quickly will their head come forward and impact that steering wheel if the airbag hasn't deployed? How quickly does the airbag need to deploy to meet that face and not cause any damage, right? Well, as much. They would have to be able to calculate all of that, right? You guys know crumple zones on cars? Do you know what a crumple zone is? So cars are literally designed, the front ends of them especially, right? If you have a front end collision, the hood, as one example, has points built into it that they will fold. And as they're folding or crumpling, they will absorb some of the energy and slow the car down. Does that make sense? Rather than just hitting and stopping, it prolongs. It makes this number bigger. The more you slow down the acceleration or deceleration, the fewer G's you experience. The more G's you experience, the more what it does to your body. Damage. Slowing down an impact, slowing down a change of velocity, the higher the T value, the lower the G value. It makes it safer, right? Has anybody ever driven in a vehicle where the driver likes to accelerate quickly?
Yes.
And then they like to decelerate hard, like hit the brakes, and you're like flying all over the cabin. Shh. The odds of injury go up, yes? So we want this T value to be bigger, so the G's we experience are lower, so we risk injury less. Does that help? Kind of, sort of? Do you guys want to do another one? No? We'll do another one later. You want to get back to the book for now? All right. Neither? Oh. Oh, don't be like fourth period. Some of them are liking what they're doing. All right, we're on page 21, right? We just finished page 21? So we're on 22. Oh, how dare you? You wouldn't do that.
Hi, Chelsea. Your name is Chelsea.
You have to open the book to read it. Or you can use the PDF. Definitely shouldn't be playing duck math unblocked games.
I'm perfecting my notes.
Okay. I'll wait on you all, but I won't wait long. All right, page 22, chapter 2. This is like some kind of weird poem. We don't know what it is yet, all right? It says, it scared me so, I hooked it off, nor stopped as I remember, nor turned about till I got home, locked up in mother's chamber, Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step, and the girls, and with the girls be handy. I have no, guys, I don't know. It says, I never really intended to join up. So this is Johnny recollecting his younger years. I never really intended to join up, and certainly not the infantry. Why, I would rather have taken 10 lashes in the public square and have my father tell me that I was a disgrace to a proud name. Oh, I had mentioned to my father late in my senior year in high school that I was thinking over the idea of volunteering for federal service. I suppose every kid does. When his 18th birthday heaves into sight, and mine was due the week I graduated. Of course, most of them just think about it, toy with the idea, then go do something else, go to college or get a job, something. I suppose it would have been that way with me if my best chum had not, with dead seriousness, planned to join up. How many of you have ever done something not because you would have done it on your own, but because your friend did it? Okay, that's happening here. Carl, I guess that's his friend's name. Carl and I, Carl. Is that a character in a show or something? Carl and I had done everything together in high school. Eyed the girls together, double dated together, been on the debate team together, pushed electrons together in his home lab. I wasn't much of an electronic theory myself, much on electricity myself, but I'm a neat hand with a soldering gun. Carl supplied the skull sweat, and I carried out his instructions. What's skull sweat? The thinking. So Carl's smart. It was fun. Anything we did together was fun. Carl's folks didn't have anything like the money my father had, but it didn't matter between us. When my father bought me a Rolls copter for my 14th birthday, it was Carl's as much as it was mine. Contrary-wise, his basement lab was mine. A Rolls copter. Well, it doesn't exist because this is sci-fi. It's in the future, but in my mind, I'm thinking like a quadcopter that's Rolls-Royce. Yeah. 14. Kind of like maybe it's like a cool dirt bike, but it's like a hovercraft thing. So when Carl told me that he was not going straight on with school, but serve a term first, it gave me to pause. He really meant it. He seemed to think that it was normal and right and obvious to serve. So I told him I was joining up too. He gave me an odd look. Your old man won't let you. Huh? How can he stop me? And of course he couldn't, not legally. It's the first completely free choice anybody gets. And maybe his last. He or she can volunteer and nobody else has any say in the matter. You'll find out. Carl changed the subject. So I took it up with my father, tentatively, edging into it sideways. Have you ever had a conversation that you know, like you're asking permission, you know they're probably going to say no? So you don't come at them straight with the question. You kind of try to work around the edges with the question. He's doing that here. His father put down his newspaper and cigar and stared at me. Son, are you out of your mind? I muttered that I didn't think so. Well, it certainly sounds like it, he sighed. Still, I should have been expecting it. It's a predictable stage in a boy's growing up. I remember when you learned to walk and weren't a baby any longer. Frankly, you were a little hellion for quite a while. You broke one of your mother's Ming vases on purpose, I'm quite sure. But you were too young to know that it was valuable, so all you got was having your hand spatted. I recall the day you swiped one of my cigars and how sick it made you. Your mother and I carefully avoided noticing that you couldn't eat dinner that night, and I've never mentioned it to you until now. Boys have to try such things and discover for themselves that men's vices are not for them. What is a vice? No, not the vice in your garage for clamping things. What's a vice? A way to let loose? Could be, but more specifically, a vice is a habit, generally a bad habit. So his dad's basically calling his own smoking cigar habit probably, it's a not such a good habit. Says, we watched when you turned the corner on adolescence and started noticing that girls were different and wonderful. He sighed again. All normal stages. And the last one, right at the end of adolescence, is when a boy decides to join up and wear a pretty uniform. Or decides that he's in love. Love such as no man has ever experienced before. And then he just has to get married right away. Or both. He smiled grimly. With me, it was both. But I got over each of them in time, not to make a fool of myself and ruin my life. But Father, I wouldn't ruin my life. Just a term of service, not a career. Let's table that, shall we? What does he mean, table that? Let's stop talking about it. We'll come back to it later. He says, let's table that, shall we? Listen, and let me tell you what you are going to do because you want to. I swear this reminds me of Rapunzel's mom in the tower. Like, never bring it up again. Trying to go away from, like, leave the tower. I know what's best for you. This is how it's going to go. Mother knows best. Huh? No. In the first place, this family has stayed out of politics and cultivated its own garden for over 100 years. I see no reason for you to break that fine record. I suppose it's the influence of that fellow at your high school. What's his name? You know the one I mean. He meant our instructor in history and moral philosophy, a veteran, naturally, Mr. Dubois. Dubois. Isn't that the second French name we've heard? Captain Deladrier. Now we... Huh? Was there a Devereaux? Okay. A silly name. It suits him. Foreigner, no doubt. It ought to be against the law to use the schools as undercover recruiting stations. I think I'm going to write a pretty sharp letter about it. A taxpayer has some rights. But Father, he doesn't do that at all. I stopped, not knowing how to describe it. Mr. Dubois had a snotty, superior manner. He acted as if none of us was really good enough to volunteer for service. I didn't like him. If anything, he discourages it. Do you know how to lead a pig? Never mind. When you graduate, you're going to study business at Harvard. You know that? After that, you will go on to the Sorbonne, another French word, and you'll travel a bit along with it. Meet some of our distributors, find out how business is done elsewhere, then you'll come home and go to work. You'll start with the usual menial job, stock clerk or something, just for form's sake, but you'll be an executive before you can catch your breath, because I'm not getting any younger, and the quicker you can pick up the load, the better. As soon as you're able and willing, you'll be boss. There. How does that strike you as a program? As compared with wasting 2 years of your life. I didn't say anything. None of it was news to me. I'd thought about it. Father stood up and put a hand on my shoulder. Son, don't think I don't sympathize with you. I do. But look at the real facts. If there were a war, I'd be the first to cheer you on and put the business on a war footing. But there isn't. And praise God, there never will be again. So when he was in high school, there was no war, and his dad thinks there never will be again. Of course, we know this is a flashback, right? From a time when they're at war. We have outgrown wars, he says. This planet is now peaceful and happy, and we enjoy good enough relations with other planets. So what is this so-called federal service? Parasitism, pure and simple, a functionless organ, utterly obsolete living on the taxpayers. A decidedly expensive way for inferior people who otherwise would be unemployed to live at public expense for a term of years, then give themselves heirs for the rest of their lives. Is that what you want to do? Carl isn't inferior. Sorry, no, he's a fine boy, but misguided. He frowned and then smiled. Son, I had intended to keep something as a surprise for you, a graduation gift. But I'm going to tell you now so that you can put this nonsense out of your mind more easily. Not that I'm afraid of what you might do. I have confidence in your basic good sense, even at your tender years. But you're troubled, I know, and this will clear it away. Can you guess what it is? No. He grinned. A vacation trip to Mars. Okay, so what does his dad think about military service and the people who go into it? They're probably stupid, useless, mooching on the taxpayer dollars. I don't know. Now? There are plenty of benefits, monetarily and otherwise, to serving in the military. But there are, trust me, my dad years ago told me that he said, son, there are people who hate you. And I said, what do you mean? He says, they hate you because of who you are. I was a soldier, right? They said, they hate you because you're in the military, just by itself. And I didn't understand. I literally just did not believe him. Like, there's no. And if there were, it certainly wasn't common. But now that I'm older, I know it's true. There are some people who think like Johnny's dad here. That think, and I'll go back to it here, he said that it's parasitism, pure and simple. It says, a decidedly expensive way for inferior people who otherwise would be unemployed to live at public expense for, do you think there might be some people out there that believe that if you join the military, it's because you couldn't get into college or you couldn't be successful in other ways? So as a last resort, you join the military. There are a lot of people that believe that. A lot. And they have a superiority complex. There's a few in this building that look down on the military. They look down on me for having served. Now, openly, oh yeah, we're proud of our military for their service, blah, 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 blah. It's lip service. They don't actually believe it. They think they're superior. Well, I didn't have to go in the military. I got in college right out of school. Like, they honestly believe I couldn't have done that? Sure. I just didn't want to have the student debt. Oh, and by the way, we had just been attacked. Right? I joined right after 9/11. Maybe I had other motivations. So, yeah, there's people that believe that way. Anyway. So, he says, I meant to surprise you, and I see I did. Because his reaction, Johnny's reaction was, golly, Father, I had no idea. I know how you kids feel about travel, though it beats me what anyone sees in it after the first time out. But this is a good time for you to do it by yourself. Did I mention that? And get it out of your system. But you'll be hard-pressed to get, because you'll be hard-pressed to get even a week on Luna once you take up your responsibilities. What's Luna? The moon. So he's saying, go to Mars now. You're young. You don't have responsibilities. Get it out of your system. Because later, once you're doing work, you wouldn't even be able to get to the moon. You'd be too busy. If you are playing Moto X Freestyle, Wilson, you probably want to get off there before I write you up. Pay attention. It's not the worst book in the world. He picked up his paper. No, don't thank me, he says. Just run along and let me finish my paper. I've got some gentlemen coming in this evening, shortly, business. I ran along. I guess he thought that was settled, and I suppose I did too. Mars! And on my own? But I didn't tell Carl about it. I had a sneaking suspicion that he would regard it as a bribe. Isn't that what it was? Isn't his dad trying to convince him to take on the family business? He's like sweetening the deal a little bit to help him decide by giving him a trip to Mars. Well, maybe it is. Instead, I told him that my father and I seemed to have different ideas about it. That, to say the least, right? They definitely have different ideas about going into the service. Yeah, he answered, so does mine, but it's my life. I thought about it during the last session of our class in history and moral philosophy. H and M and P was different from other courses in that everybody had to take it, but nobody had to pass it. So it's a class you had to take, but you didn't have to pass. And Mr. Dubois never seemed to care whether he got through to us or not. He would just point at you with the stump of his left arm, he never bothered with names, and snap a question. Then the argument would start. But on the last day, he seemed to be trying to find out what we had learned. One girl told him bluntly, "My mother says that violence never settles anything." So, Mr. Dubois looked at her bleakly. I'm sure the city fathers of Carthage would be glad to know that. Why doesn't your mother tell them so? Or why don't you? They had tangled before. Since you couldn't flunk the course, it wasn't necessary to keep Mr. Dubois buttered up. She said shrilly, "You're making fun of me. Everybody knows that Carthage was destroyed." You seemed to be unaware of it, he said grimly. Since you do know, wouldn't you say that violence has settled their destinies quite rather thoroughly? However, I was not making fun of you personally. I was heaping scorn on an inexcusably silly idea, a practice I shall always follow. So he's basically saying, I'm always going to make fun of you if you have silly ideas. He's going to point those silly ideas out to you. She's quoting her mother saying that violence never settles anything. And he's like, oh, violence has settled lots of things over the centuries, hasn't it? Since you do know it, wouldn't you say that violence had settled their destinies rather thoroughly? However, I was not making fun of you personally. I was Anyone who clings to the historically untrue and thoroughly immoral doctrine that violence never settles anything, I would advise to conjure up the ghosts of Napoleon Bonaparte and of the Duke of Wellington and let them debate it. The ghost of Hitler could referee, and the jury might well be the dodo, the great auk, and the passenger pigeon. All what? Extinct animals. Violence, naked force, has settled more issues in history than has any other form, and the contrary opinion is wishful thinking at its worst. Breeds that forget this basic truth have always paid for it with their lives and their freedoms. We don't need to be watching He's Not That Into You on Prime Video. There's always one, and it's usually just one at a time. Somebody thinks, I have Go Guardian up. I can see what you're doing. Next person not following along gets written up. I'm not asking for much. Shh. He sighed. Another year, another class, and for me, another failure. One can lead a child to knowledge, but one cannot make him think. Suddenly, he pointed his stump at me. You, what is the moral difference, if any, between the soldier and the civilian? The difference? I answered carefully. lies in the field of civic virtue. A soldier accepts personal responsibility for the safety of the body politic of which he is a member, defending it, if need be, with his life. The civilian does not. The exact words of the book, he said scornfully, but do you understand it? Do you believe it? I don't know, sir. Of course you don't. I doubt if any of you here would recognize civic virtue if it came up and barked in your face. He glanced at his watch. And that is all, a final all, perhaps we shall meet again under happier circumstances. Dismissed. Perfect timing. That's where we'll end today. He's not that into you. Good grief. Huh? It looked like absolute trash.